There was also big news yesterday on the Twitter front because we had another Twitter files dump. Matt Taibbi, as Ryan said, will be with us later in the show. He had sort of a two-part Twitter files dump yesterday. We're going to start with the first part here, which I think personally, contained one of the more interesting revelations of the entire, one of the more important too, not just interesting, but one of the more important revelations of the entire Twitter files disclosure process. Let's start with B1 and put the tear sheet up on the screen. There you see the headline from Taibbi's Substack, Why Twitter Let the Intelligence Community In. We can then go over here to B3 because Taibbi posted this Twitter thread in addition to his Substack, an incredible long thread basically showing the push and pull between our government, between the FBI and all of them, going back and forth, and the media trying to figure out where the pressure points are inside of Twitter. Basically, you have reporters, you have the government pushing Twitter to find Russian bots where there aren't Russian bots. And so Taibbi has these Twitter threads where has this thread where you have emails from inside Twitter showing, hey, the government has just sent us all of these accounts that they're saying are bots. And Mark Warner is telling us we have to go find the Russian infiltration of Twitter. And inside Twitter, they're telling, constantly keep pushing reporters to Facebook. This is really Facebook's problem. But they're also saying, listen, we can't find this. This is not what we have on our end. And why I thought that was so important, if we could put B4 again on the screen, personally, I thought it was so important because there's this line from an email where it says, reporters now know this is a model that works. That's an email from inside Twitter.
What do they mean by that? So
they're saying, given we've now suspended all accounts, we will take a hit in the press that moves from BuzzFeed to more establishment publications. We'll work to contain it. So BuzzFeed's working on a story. This is an email from someone inside Twitter. Relatedly, we can expect more investigation of accounts that are tangentially associated with the IRA handover to the U.S. committees, buoyed by academic brand names. Reporters now know this is a model that works.
A model as in like for reporting a story, a format, like we found a bot. They didn't take it down. We told Twitter about it. They took it down, and boom, we have a story.
Or basically, we can either we can fabricate a problem inside Twitter based on maybe one bot account, or based on allegations that are fuzzy from the intelligence community. We can sort of fabricate a story and then force it to become a story by making Twitter respond. And that's a model, I've seen that happen all the time. Like, I see that as a broader model of cancel culture. It happened a lot in different spaces. Right, yeah, because
you canceled this bot.
Right, powerful people realized that it could be exploited, and they were happy to exploit it. So Twitter, terrified of the PR backlash, has to respond to this because they see BuzzFeed working on the story. And this actually happened over at The Federalist. And a reporter at NBC News said that our comments were in some way like beyond the pale, even though there are plenty of websites that have comments beyond the pale, and went to, I think it was Google Ad Services at the time. Google Ad Services is basically a monopoly, and said, what are you going to do about this? And Google was like, oh, well, maybe we'll have to kick Federalist off of our ad platform because a reporter went to them and fabricated this entire news cycle. And it's just a waste of everyone's time. But it also shows how I think powerful people have exploited the media and how journalists have allowed themselves to be exploited in the service of really powerful government and business interests.
And so we do know that there is this little sub-covert agency, whatever you want to call it, the Internet Research Agency.
The IRA.
Basically, a Kremlin-type operation. The same, very similar to what a lot of other governments do. I think Russia's probably, Russia and the United States, China probably on the leading edge of this type of thing. But for all of the investigations that have been done, they seem to have uncovered a couple $100,000 worth of spending on Facebook, which when you compare it to a multi-billion-dollar presidential campaign, is really hard to see as anything significant. If somebody pitches you or me on a story and we say, well, how much are you spending on this campaign? And they were like, well, $150,000. Be like, yeah, no. Sorry, we're covering much more important things than that. So it wouldn't even be worth a single article, probably, unless it was Russia that pitched it. We're like, actually, that's illegal, so we'll do a little story about how you can't legally do that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, and if we could put up B2 here, this is the one I found really fascinating, where you have a Twitter employee saying that the TLDR is that, quote, we have found suspicious accounts which demonstrate our investigation strategy is working. However, we see no evidence of a coordinated approach. All of the accounts found seem to be lone wolf type activity, different timing, spend, targeting less than $10,000 in ad spending. And so what they're saying there is that they actually are finding, plenty of bots. And there's no necessarily a shortage of bots, but they're not able to find that this is coordinated state activity.
Which you can find, and they have found with others.
Right, if it was, it would be clear that it was. So these particular bots that were getting flagged were not. And it just seems like both the senators and the House members and the intelligence community, some of them I think were operating in bad faith and wanted to impute this, these campaigns to Russia. I think others probably just see Russia everywhere.
Yes.
And so believed it. And then others, I think, watch their mentions fill up with trash and criticism, and everybody just assumes it's a bot. Like everyone who gets criticized.
Because it's a cope.
Yeah, it's a cope. Everyone who gets criticized online is like, clearly that's a bot. There's no real human
Shut up, bot.
who could read my take and find it objectionable.
Sometimes I think Ryan is a bot.
Right, yeah. If I'm objecting to something you're saying, then yes, totally. People always think that their opponents are bots. But they think they're state-coordinated bots. What they forget is that there is money to be made by producing what we called in 2015 fake news, which was literally fake news.
Yes.
Getting written in Romania or somewhere, in Moldova.
Like, you won't believe which 70s child star has cancer.
Or like 4 bodies found in Hillary Clinton's trunk. Yeah. And it would be abcnewsgo.com or something like that. And it would look like an ABC News site, but it wasn't. Yeah. And then you would then buy ads. Those Moldovans would then buy ads on Facebook and Twitter because the money that they could make by going viral was more than it would cost them to make ads. So it was just a business proposition. And so that's probably what they're finding here. Less than $10,000, lone wolf type stuff. What they realize is that they can just set up a fake website, write outlandish things that the American news consumer will gobble up. And the way that they get over the hump of not having a legitimate news operation is they would spend money on Facebook or Twitter, just a small amount of money just to get it moving, and then hope that it would go viral. And so that is a problem. Like, that's something that I think all of us would prefer is not part of our discourse. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that this is Vladimir Putin doing this.
No, and it was Democrats conflating a serious problem with something that was, questionable at best, to push reports in media, to push reports all over the place. And it's just a great look back into how, I think, paralyzing for Democrats the specter of Russian collusion was for such a long time.
Yeah, and it's the macro version of what we were talking about. You always think that any critic of yours must be a bot. Well, they lost an election. Yes. We couldn't have been rejected. Like, it must be all bots.
It was exactly that. And Hillary Clinton, to this day, uses the Russia collusion cope. And I think that's completely true. And it's a good glimpse. The documents Sabi released it was sort of like a time machine. Like, I'd been transported back to 2017. And you were in the throes of this obsession. And it's another great reminder of how the fevered freak out over Russian collusion really, really deserved a whole lot more skepticism from reporters like the ones at BuzzFeed, who carried water for Mark Warner in this case and for Democrats in Congress, rather than taking both sides of the story here, Twitter's side, the Mark Warner side, and maybe adding a little skepticism of both sides.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us. And if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.